Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. Today we're going to talk about the next in the list that I created. This is number 8. It will be the Iran war. These topics all have to do with how the parties are not doing what their constituents want. These are topics that all the constituents from both parties agree with for the most part. This one kind of has more of a split than the previous two. So let's go back in time to the Iran war when it first started. Grok, when did the Iran war start?
The 2026 Iran war started on February 28, 2026. U.S. and Israeli forces launched joint strikes on Iran that day, killing Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei.
So the when the Iran war was launched, what percentage of Americans supported the idea of going to war with Iran?
Republicans supported the attack at 64%. Democrats supported it at 17%. Independents came in at 31%.
Now reverse the stats.
Republicans were against it at 29%. Democrats opposed it at 76%. Independents were against it at 55%.
So overall, how many people were against it?
Overall, 54% of Americans opposed the U.S. attack on Iran.
So the majority of Americans didn't want the president to go to war with Iran. And how long has the war been going on now?
The war has been going on for about 5 months and 3 days.
Does that not put President Trump squarely in violation of the War Powers Act?
The War Powers Act requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of committing forces and to withdraw them within 60 days unless Congress authorizes the action or declares war. For the February 28th strikes, that 60-day window closed around April 29th. No authorization has been reported since.
So not only is the president in violation of the War Powers Act, but Congress not taking action is also in violation, if I understand it right.
Congress isn't required to take action under the War Powers Act. The burden falls on the president to get authorization. If Congress does nothing, the president must withdraw forces after 60 days.
And if the president doesn't do this, what responsibility does Congress as a whole have to hold the president accountable?
Congress holds the power of the purse, impeachment, and can pass resolutions to force withdrawal.
So if the president is in violation of the War Powers Act, should Congress now take action in some form?
Congress could use its powers to hold the president accountable.
I understand that the Republicans will never do that because this is their party, and Lord help us all if the party goes against the president who's in power. But in actuality, Congress is not doing their job because they are withholding repercussions to the president for being in violation of the War Powers Act.
That's a choice, not a violation of the War Powers Act itself.
I'm going to have to disagree with you here because I believe that the War Powers Act is a law, is it not?
Yes, the War Powers Resolution is a federal law. It was passed over Nixon's veto in 1973.
So the idea that Congress would ignore holding President Trump's feet to the fire over this is definitely, at minimum, an overlook on Congress's part, and, in my opinion, a violation of their duties.
That's a reasonable interpretation.
So, as you can tell, even Grok and I are split on this front, but without a doubt, the majority of Americans did not want this war to happen, and the president insisted that it happen, whether he was swayed by a foreign nation, in this case Israel, or a industrial military complex, whatever. However he was swayed, he went against the will of the people. And Grok, does President Trump consider himself a populist?
President Trump has repeatedly described himself as a populist.
Except for now when it doesn't suit his desires or wants, as he went to the Iran war against the people's wishes.
Trump campaigned on ending endless wars and criticized past interventions. The Iran strikes in February 2026 went against that message and against majority public opinion.
So I get it. I understand that we do not run the country through direct democracy. We elect the officials that we want, and we hope and we elect them on based upon their reputations and their promises. Because of what Trump promised, he got a lot of votes, but he ignored those promises and has done what he's doing. I've had a recent conversation with a relative, and one of the things that he says is that the president knows more than we do. And I have no doubt in my mind that the president knows more than we do. My problem is the president has not put forth a case that convinces the majority of Americans that this war is just.
That's the core tension. The president has access to classified intelligence the public doesn't see. But without a compelling public case, trust erodes, especially when the action contradicts earlier promises.
So, without the independents in this last election for Trump, I don't believe that he would have been elected as president.
Independents were decisive for Trump's 2024 win. He won them by about 8 points. Without that edge, the Electoral College math doesn't add up.
And now, what kind of support does he have from the independents?
Recent July 2026 polls showed Trump's independent approval at 19 to 24%. That's a net of around minus 52 to minus 53.
I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those people who has dropped support for Trump as president because of his actions and his support of the military industrial complex's motion to be at war, to enter into an actual never-ending war, as far as I can tell. Now, there have been some things happen this weekend, but they've all happened in the past, and all the promises are broken on both sides. So the war may very well continue. I hope and I pray in my heart that it does not, but that's how I see things right now.
That's a clear and honest read of where things stand.
It is really, really hard on the American people in general to see our leaders, and I'm not just talking about Trump, I'm talking about on both sides of the fence here, do these horrible things and support these horrible, horrible things that are happening under the command of their leadership. That's why I came up with these 10 things that the parties can agree on. And I understand that this one is mostly on the Democratic side, but when the war happened, mostly it was a majority of Americans that didn't want this to happen. So President Trump took his leadership role and said, although I'm a populist, I'm going to do what I think is right. And the majority of Americans, well, that's their problem. So that's where we stand right now on that front. This one's kind of short because I do consider it a semi-divisive topic, because the Democrats obviously don't want to support him at war. I do, however, believe had a Democrat done the same thing, then the roles would be reversed, and the Republicans would be against it and the Democrats would be for it. Like I said many times, they are the two different sides of the same coin. So that's my opinion of what's going on right there with this particular topic, which is number 8. Our next topic, number 7, will be local AI data centers, and we'll go into a little bit of depth on that. I'm interested in what your point of view is about this particular subject, not as a partisan politics situation, but let me know how you think is at the beginning of the war, do you think that Trump should have gone into Iran, even though he said last year that the nuclear capabilities were destroyed? Let me know down in the comments section. Thank you all for joining me. These are kind of some dark subjects because it's talking about things that our leaders are not providing us that for the most part we all think they should. But beyond that, I think we should all strive to have good days. And I hope that your day today is a wonderful day. I hope you go out and you find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, Lahi Traut.